And now we're going to paint the face using Basilicanum Grape. Nope. Nope, no, no, no. This not gonna work. Welcome to part 1 of painting Night Lords. This is KurzedBrush tutorials, and let's get stuck in. In this video we will mostly focus on that blue armor and getting it to look its best. And we're going to start with a good old base coat of Ticklish Blue from the Citadel color range. And as usual, thin down your paint to a nice consistency in order to get a smooth base coat. And with this color you will need to apply 2 thin coats. And we'll come back once that's dry. So for this next part we're using a technique called glazing, and the color we're using is Night Lord's Blue. The way glazing works is basically you thin down your paint to a consistency of what I like to call dirty paint water, which makes it look really runny and flows easily off the brush. This way we can get multiple thin layers and making a smooth transition from light to dark. And we'll go over this a bit more in detail as we continue. So when placing shadows, I always try to think about where the light comes from. In this case, it comes from above. So everything that is not hit directly by the light will be in shadow, as being shown on this backpack right here. So I will just continue on glazing, and we'll come back once it's time for the next step. Okay, so now it's time for the next step, and we're going back to Ticklish Blue again, and this time we will re-establish some of the transitions to Ticklish Blue with another series of glazing. And as you can see here, I'm just adding loads of water to that paint in order to make it flow really easily. And before I put the paint onto the model, I always wick off the brush on a paper towel. This way we ensure there's not too much paint in the bristles and the paint doesn't run everywhere. And you always want to end your brush strokes where you want the most paint to deposit. And adding paint to a smaller and smaller area with every layer, we can, with enough practice, get a really smooth blend. And of course, let each coat dry before you apply the next. And this is where the power of the wet palette comes in. Right here I'm working with both Techless Blue and Nitrous Blue, working a bit back and forth to get the blend where I want it. So it's a quick little wet blend right here. And now we will move on to the next color. And I guess there's no surprise, it's even more glazing. Alright, so here is the end result after all that glazing with 2 colors. And now we're going back to the shadows again with another color. And this is Storm Blue from Vallejo Game Color. This is like a really, really dark purplish blue, which is one of my absolute favorite colors. Okay, so with Vallejo paints, you can almost thin this down to infinity, and you still got, well, some coverage. They glaze so well. I really love these colors specifically for glazing. And right here I'm thinning down the paint quite a lot, and you will also see me testing the consistency on my thumb, which is a really good trick to right here. And this is a good trick to check your consistency before you put it onto the model. So we'll just continue on with glazing in the shadows, and we'll come back once that's done. Okay, so after a few glazes, we will now go over onto the next part of the video. Okay, so getting right back into highlights, and this time we're using Lutheran Blue, and this time we're doing more of a layer where we want the highlights to be, and then we're glazing the transition. And this is also the part where the armor really starts taking shape, and we get to reap the rewards for our hard work. So this part is basically layering and glazing, and we'll come back once that's done. And here you can see me going back to Techless Blue again, just to smooth out the transitions between Lutheran Blue and Techless Blue. So it's just a matter of going over the armor again with a little glazing. But after this, it's time for the last step on that blue armor. And now we'll go over to the next part of the video, which is the last step for this armor, and that's edge highlighting with Lothern Blue. The edge highlighting works is basically dragging the side of your brush against the edge of the model perpendicular to each other. And the lighter your touch to the model is, the thinner your line will be. And the consistency of your paint should be thin, but not too thin. Think of it more like a layer consistency and not glazing, then it's too thin. And just experiment and try it out for yourself. And here is the conclusion of part 1 in painting Night Lords. And here's the grand reveal. I hope you learned something from it, and I hope to see you in the next video. So stay tuned for this. In the next video we will be focusing on the skulls, bones and the cloak. Thank you for watching, and remember to subscribe, like and share this video with your friends, and I'll see you next time. This is KurzedBrush signing off.